So I had left to grab my water, and then I was coming back in. I realized that my fan was on. The fan leaves really bad, annoying background noise, and so I was going to turn that off. And I tripped over my headphones and pulled like my whole audio setup off my desk.
Oh my god.
But I'm back. We're okay.
Okay.
Welcome to RPG Book Club Movie Nights, the podcast where we normally watch a movie tangentially related to a game we just played, but tonight you can't even squint to make this one work. The only thing tying to the
there's a lesbian.
There's a lesbian. See, we did it, Reddit. Yeah, I'm Sam Allman,
And I'm Trish.
and Bernard's not here to keep us in check, so he also won't even listen to this episode because he couldn't even watch the movie for this week. So I'm going to be editing it, and Bernard will have no idea the shit that we're getting up to. The teacher's not here. We're all going to be on our phones. Today we will be discussing Jordan Peele's 2022 movie Nope, because it means a lot to Trish, and that's the actual reason why we picked this one, is because it's a follow-up to Trish's autobiography. But before we get to that, how was your week, Trish? Or your 2 weeks, because we didn't record last week.
Yeah, it's true, the 2 weeks. It's been pretty good. I mean, just today I moved up, me and my girlfriend moved up my dresser into my room, which carrying, just like the prospect of carrying a dresser up the stairs felt so like, oh god, that's gonna be a nightmare. And that was just like a thing we've been putting off for a while, because it's like, oh, that moving furniture up a stair is a nightmare. And it was so much easier than I was expecting, because I always forget every time I move that if you take all the drawers out of the dresser and there's nothing in it, it's extremely lightweight.
Mm-hmm. And then each individual drawer with only one drawer's worth of stuff in it is also very lightweight. Exactly. So it's not very bad at all.
Exactly. So I got it all up here, and that's nice. I just got in some new comics. Really what I've been doing recently is I realized that I was behind on the IDW Sonic comics, so I quickly caught up because I was only like 4 issues behind. And then I was like, oh, you know what other really good, like, weird comic book series I haven't, like, of someone taking a franchise I'm not even that into and making an incredible comic out of it that I'm behind on? I should catch up on the Power Rangers comics. And then I was like, I don't remember where I left off on the Power Rangers comic. And so I've just decided to start from the beginning.
Yeah, I really want to start getting into the Power Rangers comic. I also want to get into
good.
I also want to get into Power Rangers, but I am a freak, and so I want to get caught up on both Super Sentai and Power Rangers and compare notes, which is a very stupid thing for me.
Just watch RPM like a normal person.
Yeah, I can't even catch up on Naruto in One Piece. Why do I think I could catch up on a show that started in like 1973 and think that I can just watch all of them? Like, I'm so stupid, but that's what I want to do. And yeah, we'll see, because we'll come back to you. This is just a very good segue into something about my week, because I've started exercising. Please go ahead. I've been exercising every morning, and how I've been exercising is by getting around to watching television that I've been meaning to watch. And so I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. I walk over to
I was gonna say you step outside.
I go to the gym in my apartment, and I bring my Kindle, and I watch a 23-minute television show. Most of the shows that I'm actively watching are 46-minute television shows, but animes are 23 minutes long. And so I first caught up on the few American things that are 23 minutes long that I need to catch up on, namely What We Do in the Shadows and Jury Duty, both of which are fantastic. But But now I've been catching up on Pretty Cure, which is also fantastic. They like Pretty Cure is one of the coolest things in the world, because ever since Sailor Moon came out, all of Sailor Moon's copycats are like, oh, what if we do Magical Girl, but here's a spooky twist? What if it's Magical Girls in the apocalypse? What if it's Magical Girl zombies? What if they're magical boys? What if it's Magical Girls, but like the person you think is going to be the main character dies in episode 3, and then it's all fucked up from there? Like, everything is Magical Girls, but meanwhile, Pretty Cure was like, no, the Magical Girl genre is just good. What if we just did it really good? And so all of the ways that they like explore it are fantastic. And I'm only like 11 episodes into Hookto, so both of these things are technically spoilers, but not very big ones. When they meet the third color-coded girl in their high school, so obviously she's going to be the next Pretty Cure. She has post-traumatic stress disorder because she was going to be in the Olympics for figure skating, and in her qualifier, she went for her like triple axel or whatever, flubbed the landing, broke her foot, and now she can't skate ever again. And so she while they were like talking to her to do that sort of stuff, be like, hey, you should be a Pretty Cure, blah 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 blah, she like starts to believe in herself a little bit. So the magical Pretty Cure MacGuffin is coming down from like heaven to be for her, and she runs and she jumps to grab it, but as she jumps, she is triggered and remembers when she had jumped and broke her leg, so she stops believing in herself, and the magical girl thing goes away, and she doesn't become a Pretty Cure for 3 more episodes, and it's fan-fucking-tastic.
That's good.
It's so good. And like they
Go ahead.
they just continue to do cool shit like that. And so this season is called Hugto, and their mascot is this little baby named Hugchan. And so you think that's what it's about, is they named it after the baby. But you get to we have our first team together, and now's the time where magical girls get their second set of superpowers, where everybody gets the wand in addition to their transformation pin or whatever. And so Curiel is like, oh, I believe in everybody, blah 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 blah, whatever, power of friendship. And then this super kick-ass sword shows up out of nowhere and has this like wings for the cross guard and this bright like rainbow blade and everything. It's so badass, and she grabs it. And Pretty Cure is known for like, its fight scenes are very physical fights. Like this is like a superhero show. The superheroes are all just magical girls. It's very little of the Sailor Moon, like, oh, we're going to cut away to a thing of me shooting bubbles and then cut away to the bad guy being like, no, they're going to get their ass kicked. And so she's coming in, and it looks like a classic Pretty Cure beatdown is about to happen. But then she sees that, like, no, this bad guy is just like also a victim from like the big bad guy, and he doesn't deserve to be hit with a big sword. That's not the kind of Pretty Cure that I want to be. And so she like throws the sword aside at the last second, runs up and hugs him, and is like, it'll be okay, and like talks him down off the ledge so he stops being a giant rampaging monster, and comes down and is nice. And the sword then turns into a conductor's baton because she wants to be part of the group, and they all work together to make beautiful music as if they were in a concert band, and not a sword to go and be a hero. She doesn't want to be a hero. She wants to be a part of a group that makes the whole world happy. And that's 11 episodes into the show. There's 46
you're
of them.
selling me on it.
It's so good. I unabashedly love it, and I highly recommend. And so I'm very excited that I get to do that. But the reason I brought it up in relation to your thing is once I get through the Pretty Cures and stuff of the world, I'm like, I need to find me a lot of 23-minute animes that I've been missing, and Sentai counts. Tokusatsu is just a live action anime.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Maybe I'll get around to it.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of great stuff about Pretty Cure, and I definitely respect its pedigree.
Yeah.
You're selling me on it right now really well. I
Yeah.
really wanted, because you brought up briefly, I really want to try getting into Sailor Moon because I just missed that
Mm.
and never tried. I've tried it a little bit here and there, but I really want to see if I can get into it, because the thing is, I get poked at with like like recent made fan content that's very Sailor Moon related,
Mhm.
and people have been making some really gay Sailor Moon shit, like of the all the Sailor Scouts just being queer as fuck, and I'm like, that's good. Is there any of that in the show? That'll make me watch it. And yes, I know about the cousins who aren't cousins thing. That is, they are lesbians, and I know about. I just mean with the main characters though. But the other thing that your whole thing made me think of, Sam, have you ever heard of a show called Symphogear?
I have heard of Symphogear, but I don't know what I like anything about it. I just the
Okay,
phrase is sticking in my head.
so Symphogear is an anime series, or rather a series of series, like Pretty
Hmm.
Cure. It's like there's 5 seasons,
Hmm.
which are basically separate series, effectively, or at least they're treated that way.
Hmm.
It's So it's one of those situations of my girlfriend loves it to death, and because of that, I sat down and watched all of it with her, and I'm
Hmm.
glad I did. It's very fun. It's okay. Imagine Magical Girl, but it's also a musical because their
Oh, I'm
Magical
in.
Girl powers
I'm in.
are powered by song.
I'm already in.
Okay, you're in. It's also dark because it's like, oh yeah, like the random monsters they have to fight, they like just vaporize people on regular people on contact,
And all the
and there's a
seasons are
lot of
short.
trauma. Yes, 13 episodes each season. It's also so gay. It's it's so gay. It's and the music's really good. Here's the thing: is that I have to say, I these are all points in its favor. It has like it feels very mid 2000s anime in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Like, me and my friends have come up with the term, and just the colloquial of the anime bullshit to describe that kind of catch-all, like, yeah,
Hmm.
this is like it's like that junk food taste where you're like, I know this
Hmm.
isn't good for me, but it's enjoyable.
Uh-huh.
And like, that's this. I love it. I do think there's some really interesting content in it, but it's also very silly and weird in all the very anime ways. But I definitely recommend giving it at least a try, especially if the idea of magical girls powered by musicals sells you on it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Especially because all the different characters have different like styles of music that are their kinds of music when they sing, and then like
Mm,
they'll start doing duets and like larger numbers together, and it's excellent.
that's very good. I am definitely going to check that one out.
Okay then. Anything else you want to talk about relating to the week?
I don't think so. I think that's the biggest thing that I've been doing is exercising and losing my shit about how good Jury Duty and What We Do in the Shadows and Pretty Cure is once a day.
Mm-hmm.
I've also
Mm-hmm.
been not during the morning, just throughout the day. I've been watching more Star Trek, the original series, and I'm almost done with it. And
Mm.
all of the jokes, like on Futurama and stuff, about how it's a wonderful show 60% of the time or whatever, they were mostly talking about season 3. Season 3 has had a bunch of it has had the most, well, that was an episode of Star Trek episodes, and
That's the
this
season. That's the season after it got canceled and brought back, isn't it?
I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. But
Okay, that's what I'm remembering
yeah.
vaguely.
But yeah, it has some stinkers. It has some perfectly serviceable but not great. It has one of the best episodes. It's very Star Trek as in that regard, where sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you'll have absolute garbage and other times it'll be the best ever. So yeah, it's weird. I quickly looked over the like synopses of the rest of the season, and I don't have a lot to look forward to. And then I of course am watching things in order, so I'm going to watch the animated series, which I've heard in general I don't have a lot to look forward to. But then I get to the movies, and the movies are without a doubt phenomenal. And then I get to Next Gen, which we all know is really really good. So
Oh, My friend L, who's in the chat there, confirms yes, season 3 was post revival after it was canceled, and among other things, their budget was a lot smaller.
Nice.
Yes, the animation is very low budget, but listen, I do appreciate that with the animated series, they were like, oh, cool, we can just design whatever we want
Mhm.
for the aliens. We're not limited. That's where we get like the cat people and like there's just so many weird alien designs that come out of that one.
Mhm. And now that we're getting a second animated series, they're doing that again, and it's like, yes, I love
Yes,
it.
me
So good.
too. Me too.
Anywho, that's not what we're going to talk about tonight. Tonight we are going to talk about Nope from 2022. So let's listen to some music. I don't know if it'll be from
The
Nope or
movie.
just
I mean, there's
Falcom
songs
or
from this.
something.
Oh, we probably can't get those songs though.
Yeah. So
No.
if I find a piece of music from Nope that works, because it's everything that's not like a song from it is very like ambient noise
Yeah.
kind of music, and probably wouldn't do good for a little do transition. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
listen to something, and then we'll start talking about the movie.
The film opens, completely out of context, with a bloody chimp on a TV set, devoid of humans other than a single body lying on the ground. The chimp wanders around, then looks at the camera as though meeting someone's eyes in recognition. From there, we cut to a ranch in the rural areas around LA, where Otis Jr., who most people just call OJ, is helping his father, Otis Sr., played by the always great Heath David,
Absolutely.
begins with some horse training. They specialize in providing trained horses for films. Things begin to fall out of the sky, one of which hits Otis Sr. in the head hard enough to lodge itself firmly in his skull. OJ drives his bleeding father to the hospital, but doesn't make it in time. And the thing that killed his father? It was a nickel. There's something symbolic in that, I'm sure. We can talk about that later. Sometime later, OJ is trying to run the ranch himself, but is struggling. We see him trying to manage a horse for a commercial, one helmed by a legendary cinematographer named Antlers Holst. But when it comes time to give a safety meeting, OJ struggles. He speaks softly, he doesn't meet people's eyes, and he tends to be blunt and to the point rather than being showy and charismatic. Luckily for OJ, there is someone who's showy and charismatic and is there to help his sister Emerald. M
Played by the
swoops in.
wonderful Kiki Palmer. She's so freaking good in this.
I think this was my introduction to her. I loved her in this.
It's so good.
She's great. M swoops in, having arrived late, and easily does the safety meeting, though she does take some time to plug her own independent ventures as part of it. And then she immediately just heads over to schmooze around and flirt with pretty girls, which is a bit of an issue because OJ isn't properly able to warn people before they spook the horse, Lucky, who then kicks a bag of sand. This loses them the job, and OJ is left frustrated as he drives himself, Lucky, and M to a recently rebranded Western carnival, Jupiter Junction. Because business has been bad ever since his father died, OJ is forced to sell his horses to this rodeo in order to make ends meet, though he wants to talk to the owner, Jupe, about setting up some sort of payment plan to buy them back once they start to rebound from their current problems. That's made difficult when M keeps turning the conversation into being all about Jupe's past. You see, Jupe was a child star and keeps mementos of his work all over his office. The one thing that really gets focused on, though, is relics from his time on a show called Gory's Home. He has an entire secret room dedicated to that particular sitcom, much of it tied to the tragic way it ended. Something happened that set the chimp playing the titular Gordy off, and it attacked the cast. But when pressed, rather than talking about the horrors he witnessed, Jupe instead focuses on an SNL sketch that was made parodying the incident. M follows OJ back to the ranch, where they break into their dad's liquor cabinet and relax with some weed, reminiscing over their childhood. Their father tended to ignore M, even telling her that a horse named Jean Jacko would be hers to train only to instead use the horse with OJ for Scorpion King. But even if their father ignored her, OJ never did. He always saw her. This complex delving into family dynamics is ruined somewhat when a horse escapes the pen and OJ goes out to find it. Instead, he gets a glimpse of it disappearing into the air as something strange and difficult to see flies off. He tells them about it, and they decide that this could be the ticket to financial stability. If they can get good footage of a UFO, that's pay dirt. They go to Fry's Electronics the next day, using M's money to buy some security cameras to set up over the ranch. Angel, the guy checking them out, who is a bit dismissive of them, shows up later to install it all, and quickly catches on to what they're trying to do. Turns out he's a bit of a UFO enthusiast himself, but they're not interested in bringing him in to help with this. Realizing that they're going to need some sort of bait, M goes and steals one of the fake horses from out in front of Jupiter's Junction, only for Jupe to follow her and ask her where she got it from. The problem is he's too charming and polite to accuse her of stealing it, and M is capable enough socially to navigate the conversation so that Jupe is left with no polite recourse except to just drive away empty-handed. Before leaving, Angel brings up that, he could help with looking for UFOs. He could maybe even watch their cameras remotely, and they're like, no, please don't do that. Still, they do make it clear that they're going to give his service 5 stars. Working class solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
That night, there's activity out in the stable, so OJ goes to investigate. While a bit of a creepy scene at first, it turns out this is just Jupe's kids wearing alien costumes and pranking them for stealing. It's not all a loss, though. The UFO does return and take the fake horse, but sadly the entire thing isn't caught on the cameras. One of them is taken out by some sort of anti-electrical field the UFO has, while the other spends the entire incident being covered by a praying mantis, despite M's attempts to knock it off using her snacks. At this point, they think it's time to step it up, and reach out to famed choreographer from the commercial, Antlers Holst. Holst listens to their request, but ultimately decides to tell them they should stop chasing fame, that it's a dream they're never going to wake up from. A bit of a setback, but then Angel arrives. Yes, he was watching the entire thing happening last night, even though they told him not to, but it turns out he was useful because he noticed something no one else has. There's a cloud in the distance that never moves. As they discuss this, OJ says that from his encounters with the UFO so far, it doesn't seem like it's a ship, that it's something else entirely. It's at this point that we get a full flashback to what happened that day on Gordy's home. From the scene before things go wrong, to the balloon popping and setting the chimp off, to the bloody and messy results. Jupe spent the entire incident hiding under a table, but eventually the chimp noticed him. Seeming to snap out of what had come over it before, the chimp came closer and offered a fist bump to Jupe. Before they could connect their fists, the chimp was shot through the head. We hard cut from that to Jupe preparing for the first performance of his new Star Lasso experience, which he has been hyping up this whole movie. He's even invited his old co-star from Gordy's home, but that turned out to be a bit of a bad idea. See, the idea of this whole performance is that he was going to send out a horse so the UFO could take it. They've been practicing this with the horses he's been buying with OJ night after night, but before they can even get the horse out, the UFO flies over the stadium and sucks up every single person.
Mm-hmm.
In a horrifying sequence.
Mm-hmm. For the
OJ
first, so this whole, up until this point, the movie has been very like, don't show the shark sort of horror movie, where like even when you get a glimpse of the flying saucer, you get a glimpse of it like zooming behind a cloud or something like that. You barely get to see it. It's very classical horror like that. At this point, the camera cuts to the inside of the ship's, what we later realize is its stomach, as it's slowly digesting all of these people, and it is horrifying. This, from here on, we are up close and personal to this UFO, and it is not it is no longer don't show the shark. It is very much the shark is here, and it is real, and it is scary.
Mm-hmm. OJ shows up at Jupe's hours later, hoping to get back his horses, but in the process he ends up attacked by the UFO. He survives, but even as he collects the surviving horse and heads back to the ranch, he calls Em and Angel to warn them. But it's too late. The creature has been mistaken. Oh, the creature that's been mistaken for a UFO flies above the ranch house, letting all of the blood and indigestible objects it swallowed drain out, covering the house in blood as the people inside can hear the screams of the people begin to go out as they die, as they have also no light or power because of the previously mentioned anti-electrical field.
Mm-hmm. And
God, it's so
it
horrifying.
it's super horrifying, and importantly, is one of the shots when it's from the outside and the shit is raining down. You see a key fall down and lodge itself into like the banister on the stairs, showing that this is what happened when Keith David died.
Yes, this is what killed Otis Sr. Eventually, OJ is able to rescue them, and in the process comes to a realization about the creature. Don't look up at it. Eye contact seems to be part of what drives it to attack. They all flee, but Em and Angel are all too ready to call it quits, while OJ is ready to head back anyway. He has mouths to feed. Those horses are his responsibility. When they do return, they find Holst is already there. Seems that he's been taking an interest in this after all those recent disappearances, and together they plan on how to film the monster, who they've decided to name Jean Jacket after the horse that Em talked about earlier. Holst brought a camera that doesn't use any electricity, and they used the car batteries from all the vehicles of the people who died at Jupes to power stolen flailing tube men, setting them up all over the valley as a detection system. Em monitors from afar, Holst and Angel get the shot, and OJ is the bait. He's an animal trainer, after all. He knows how to deal with an unruly beast and get it to show. Everyone gets everything set up, things are looking grand, when some asshole rides into the situation on a motorcycle.
God damn it.
Oh yeah, this motherfucker. This guy is interested in investigating what happened at Jupes, and he is doing so by shoving his camera into everyone's faces and recording their reactions. When M plays hardball, he tries to leave, only for his motorcycle to hit the creature's anti-electric field, suddenly stopping and sending him flying. He actually survives this, but only long enough to be swallowed by Jean Jacket, despite OJ's attempts to save him. This little snag does start to ruin the entire plan, as Jean Jacket attacks everyone one by one. Holst does get an incredible shot thanks to OJ's work, but he still feels like it could be better, and so he ends up sacrificing himself to Jean Jacket so he can get the perfect footage of it. That's how I interpret that. That whole thing is a little open to interpretation, but that's what I decided. That's how I summarize that.
Yeah, all the characters say Angel says on the radio, Holst just said some cryptic shit and ran off, and I don't know what he means, and it's unclear. I think he wanted to get the perfect shot, and he didn't want to release a shot that wasn't perfect. So I
think so too.
So he ran out either to try to get another one, but like he could have just stayed there with the thing, and could have just said, "Hey, OJ, we could have got this at the golden hour, and it would have been beautiful. Let's do it again," or whatever. But he instead ran out and did it. So maybe the IMDb thing says that the world doesn't deserve the footage, so he gets himself killed by Jean Jacket in order to destroy the footage, which would be wild. But that's not quite how I read it.
Does.
Yeah.
I mean, he does say like the world doesn't deserve the impossible. Like he says something to that effect, but I don't interpret it that way necessarily. Wikipedia summary.
Yeah, I don't quite. But yeah, he gets got, and the footage is gone.
Yeah. Jean Jacket also almost kills Angel, but manages to save himself by wrapping himself hastily in barbed wire. In the end, M and OJ are out in the open, vulnerable, as Jean Jacket reveals what I consider its threat response, as it turns itself inside out, basically, to display a much larger size with a central square face of colorful ribbons, which it flares out. OJ tries to sacrifice himself to save his sister, but once Jean Jacket is far enough away that the motorcycle starts to work, she gets on it and drives off, making Jean Jacket chase her. She leads it to Jupes Junction, where she does an Oculus slide, the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen, and releases a big balloon into the air. And then operates a coin-operated old-timey camera that the movie set up in Act 1 to snap a shot of Jean Jacket just as it's attacking and swallowing the balloon.
Yeah, Chekhov's wishing well. That's what that is.
Chekhov's wishing well. The big balloon pops inside of it, possibly killing the creature. It's unsure.
It 100% kills the creature. Its corpse flies down, and I watched with captions on, so when the reporters show up, you can hear one of them talking to the camera, and he's like, "Oh, but we just saw something, we can't even believe what it is. There still seems to be like remnants of it, like falling down from the sky or whatever." So it definitely exploded.
Okay. I've heard some people suggest that possibly enough of it maybe remained to regenerate or something. We don't know. It's a weird creature.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as you said, yeah, news crews rush to the scene, but all Em cares about is that her brother also shows up, having ridden out on a horse for her. And that's where the movie ends.
Mm-hmm. And the Chekhov's wishing well is a camera that's at the bottom of the well to recreate the movie poster for Jupiter's Claim, which is what the whole theme park is based around, something that Jupe was in Jupiter's Claim. And so it's the camera's at the bottom of the well, and it shoots straight up. And so she released the balloon to go right over it, so she could get a picture straight up. And she got the picture of the UFO. So
because Em is incredible, and I love her.
So their movie ends with her getting the picture, standing up, and then she also sees that OJ is alive. So they lost everything, but they're going to be rich, and they're alive. So works for them.
Well, I think it's kind of important that she specifically turns away from the news crews and the finished picture and instead walks over to OJ. That's what she's focusing on.
I thought I saw her grab it, but even if I hope for their sake, because they deserve to be Oprah rich. I hope that they do stake claim to it and they get the rights, and not some punk reporter runs up and grabs it, because Anyways, that's how the movie ends, and it's fantastic. So let's listen to some more music, and then we'll gush about this movie for the rest of our allotted time today.
Yes. I'm not 100% sure where to start. Where do you think is a good idea to start?
Anyway, Ancient Aliens History Channel. Check it out.
Oh my god. Oh god. That line instantly made me hate Angel for a while. I was like, this motherfucker. He's one of these guys. That combined with how dismissive he is to the Haywoods when they first show up.
Mm-hmm.
But he grows on he grows on me a little bit, almost like a fungus or something.
Yeah. He's really good.
I really enjoy, there's a point as they're doing the big planning session and everything, there's a point they're all eating dinner together, and he says something about like, hey, this isn't just about the fame. Like, we're probably going to save lives doing this. And it's just like a really funny thing. Like, no one basically responds to what he says. And it feels like, oh, this white boy's tried to be like, oh, but actually, let's make this into a big, important, heroic thing. And it's like, no, motherfucker, we're trying to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you talking about?
Another shout out. It's an important shout out. Daniel Kaluuya's thighs while he's riding horses this entire fucking movie.
Yes.
Just good thighs in tight jeans is a gift from the gods themselves.
Agreed. He's very attractive man. Also, he's just incredible as OJ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess I would love to jump on one of my many things I love about this movie. At no point in this movie do they say, oh yeah, by the way, OJ's autistic. But like, if you are autistic or if you have experienced autistic people, like OJ is such a really fantastic portrayal of an autistic character, and in a way that you don't usually see, because usually the portrayal we get of autism and things is very like, nerd on the internet sort of thing. But like, as I grew up in a rural area around a lot of like people who worked in farms and ranches and stuff like that, and I've known people like OJ where it's like, yeah, no, sometimes you're in this sort of setting and your autism is much more of like it displays in this sort of different way where everyone just kind of knows you as like, oh yeah, no, they're just kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, he's such a great character.
He's fantastic. I also love there's so much Hollywood history in this movie as well.
Yes, there is.
So there's a lot of things about like how television shows work, how like the history of like motion pictures themselves is OJ and M are like the great grandchildren of the black man on the horse in the first ever motion picture. And there's a whole bunch of little things like that as someone who went to film school and then promptly joined the IT careers and doing jack shit with my film degree, it was a lot of really cool stuff that like was flavor around the movie, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, well, and it also definitely feels like Heel was going for. I think there's definitely some racial commentary in that. Like, I think the undeniable thing, like, we're digging into what Nope is about. I think Nope is about spectacle. Like, they use the word many times throughout the film. There's like an opening, I think a Bible quote or something about it at the very start. Like, it is about the idea of being seen and how you can be seen by people you know and love versus being seen as a spectacle up on a stage, up on the screen for consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other different ways too. The movie is very deeply focused on that as a thing, but there's definitely a racial aspect of, again, when they talk about the story of their great-great-grandfather, the jockey in that.
He's not a filmmaker. He was the thing being filmed.
He was the subject of the film, and it was a white filmmaker who, took that, recorded that image and everyone knows his name. No one knows their ancestor's name. And this is the story of something happening to them and them going, we need this story to be our story. We need to be the ones who own this narrative and who control this narrative, because if we don't, it will be taken from us.
Absolutely.
You can tie this into the nickel being the thing that kills their dad. You could tie this into oh god, there's just so much fun thing to tie that in with. I didn't know this. I don't know where this comes up. This might just be like from the script or the director thing. But that guy who shows up, who they call TMZ, he apparently has a name officially. Yeah. His name is Ryder Mybridge. Mybridge being the last name of the one who filmed the guy on the horse.
That's wonderful.
Which, yeah, that's just a really great bringing it around, because like he is textually in the film, he is the dominant media coming in to go, oh hey, this is ours now. And luckily he's an idiot. He dies in minutes, but
one thing that I really enjoyed, but if there's any negative about this movie, it is that it doesn't matter at all. It serves the exact same as the horse scene with the commercial, and the horse scene happened to OJ, so therefore it is more important. But the Gordy's home flashback is probably because they needed it's a 2-hour long movie, and the exciting parts with the alien happen at the very end, so they probably needed some stuff to get the horror movie crowd going. But as great as it is, and as much as I like it, it doesn't tie in enough.
I've heard that
some of my favorite
criticism.
It's some of my favorite stuff in the movie, but it felt like two separate pieces in an anthology piece about spectacle, and less of two parts of the same story.
I definitely can understand that. I think it wraps together really well for me, but I can understand not feeling that way. I mean, because on a thematic level, it is very much about mishandling animals and how that can
Mhm.
lead to death and how it's happened before, to tie that to Jean Jacket in the present. But also in a non-thematic, just plot way, it's the thing that traumatized Jupe in a way that led him to start the plot.
Mhm.
Because Jean Jacket is only doing this and like all this is happening because Jupe decided to found a weird sky creature and went, I'm gonna feed it horses and make it into a show.
Mhm.
Because like the last words he said, like right before he does his show, he says like I'm chosen under his breath to himself over and over again.
Yeah.
And it really gives this feeling like what he took out of that experience at Gordy's home was that he is a special like he's a special person, and that he had a special relationship with Gordy, which is why he survived and other people didn't.
Mhm.
And it is that perspective that made him think, oh, I can totally use Jean Jacket. I
Mhm.
can build up a special relationship with this animal and I'll be fine.
Mhm.
And he was fucking wrong, because
Yeah.
that's not how animals work.
No. Like I wonder if this movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes long and they had to cut something, and so they cut some parts of the Gordy plot to like make that more overt, because I didn't pick up on much of that at all. And so I'm wondering if they like
A lot of
if
those
it used to
connections
be that.
are a lot of those connections are subtle, and they're things that this is my fourth time seeing this movie. I've
Yeah.
picked up on those connections, and they don't explicitly call them out. They're things you pick up when you start watching and realizing, oh, this is what's going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a subtle connection. I still really, like you said, it's fantastic stuff.
Mhm.
But
They're
I
also
personally just also feels like I feel like it works, but I understand not feeling the connection as much.
it also feels like they were setting it up to be related more, and then it wasn't, and that felt bad. And I think that has something to do with it as well, because for
Mm.
some reason the lady's shoe is balanced on like standing up, and we've been seeing shit raining from the sky and having some sort and so we thought like maybe like I thought at the time like, oh, maybe it's like magnetic of some sort, and it's like this has something to do with Jean Jacket. But no, they just chose to make the shoe balance to make us see the shoe, so when he has the shoe in his house we realize how fucked up he is. um and
I mean,
it
there's that element. I think there's a lot of stuff going on with that shoe. Weirdly, my first time through the movie, I didn't notice the shoe at all. And it's like you could be like, okay, but it was in the center of the frame, Trish. And I'd go, yes, it was. But there was also a dead body and a chimpanzee. I was paying more attention to that. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I didn't notice the shoe. It was immobile.
Yeah, so I think weirdly, if they would have given us like 12 more minutes on the Gordy subplot to tie it into Jupe's like motivations more, and not just it feels like it's a thematically relevant background element for Jupe to go through the thing, more than it being the incident that set this all in motion, like you saw on repeat viewings. So if they would have given us 12 more minutes to make that exist in the first viewing, or cut a lot more of it out to like be less scary and whatnot, to make it fit in as important as it is to the plot of being, oh, this is a thing that's setting off the thing that's happening now, and not this whole like it felt like they focused so much time on it that it didn't go anywhere, even though like you said it is important and it does go somewhere. But again, that's marking it from like a 98 to a 96.
Yeah, no, I know what you're
It's
saying.
definitely nitpicking.
I will say that the one of the other kind of things that ties it in is the masks that he sells as part of his Star Lasso experience that his kids wore when they were
Mhm.
dressing up, pretending to be aliens and screwing with the Haywoods. The masks look exactly like there's a point in the flashback to the Gordy's home thing where you see all the cameras that they're filming it on, and
Mhm.
the side view of those cameras is like very much the same look as those masks.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's another just like the imagery of that flashback is something that Jupe has brought with him into the present.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Switching subjects, you brought her up before. Em is fantastic, and I love her so much.
Absolutely.
She just, I also, again, in the same way that I'm like, they didn't feel the need to be like, oh hey, by the way, OJ's autistic. They also don't like super flash in your face like, oh, Emerald's a lesbian, but she's very lesbian.
She's incredibly lesbian.
And I adore. She's a super lesbian, you might even say.
Mm-hmm.
She deserves to be in a super lesbian RPG.
Yes.
But yeah, no, just the way her and OJ bounce off each other, their sibling dynamic, the conflict between them at the start of the movie, and the way that we slowly get a better understanding of how they got here and how this crisis kind of brings them closer together again. I just love shit like that. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. This movie's so good.
It is. It's very good. Also, I really like. We talked about how we can't really use it before, but when it comes to like songs that are in this film, I really one of these days I want to specifically find like a playlist of the songs that were in this movie because I like really good songs in this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's also
I loved when I wear my sunglasses at night. It goes slow, and then when it comes back, it doesn't come back all the way because Jean Jacket is still around, just not super close. And so just this really creepy, like almost unintelligible version of I wear my sunglasses at night, which is it was so good.
Okay, this is what I was thinking of. The guy who plays Antler's host, Michael Wincott, who has an incredible voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever there are points in the movie, like he has this like deep, gravelly voice, and when he says things, it's like the perfect, like cryptic, mysterious shit kind of voice. And there's a point when they're planning things, and he just starts at dinner. He just starts like spoken word, doing the song. One-eyed one-horned purple people eater. And it's so good.
It is one of the weirdest things in movie history, and it's fantastic. I love it so much.
It half fits the situation, and it 100% just feels like a thing of like, oh, this dude's just doing this because he's just like he like half was like, oh, this would be a fun thing to do, and it's like, okay, dude, I guess. Yeah, sure. God, this fucking movie it's I really love it. It is not what?
Michael Wincott, since you love his voice, he's the voice of Death in Darksiders 2, and that's the main character. So
ooh,
you can go and experience a lot of Michael Wincott's voice in that video game. And I've heard the video game's actually pretty good. It's less of a Zelda-like than the first one and more of a God of War-like. So I personally am less interested in it, but a lot of people wished it was more God of War-like in the first one. So anywho, that's neither here nor there.
No, but I appreciate the interesting trivia bit of Michael Wincott trivia. I love the design of Jean Jacket, by the way. So part of the reason I chose this audience is like, yes, this is a movie from last year. I love this movie. It's kind of here because if you were asking like formative, like one of my favorite films of all time, one of my things I will go back to is the movie Tremors, which I grew up on. I've gone back to it many times. I still adore that movie. And I felt like it was a very unique movie in a lot of ways. And Nope is just like all the things that are unique about Tremors, but better. It's like, what if we did the whole thing of a monster movie where the monster is just an animal that's really weird, and it has set rules and ways it behaves, and the characters slowly figure out those rules and use it to survive. And it's about watching them figure out how to live, not about watching people die. And it does all of that, but it's also as we've touched on, it is a very like thematically coherent film. It has a lot to say. The visual storytelling is so fantastic. I mean, we talked about it a bit in the synopsis, but the part where everyone gets eaten and we see the inside view of them like being pulled in through its like intestinal system or whatever, it's so creepy. It's horrifying.
Oh, it's rough.
And then the scene of it over their house as it just lets all the blood gush out is so gross and horrible, and the screams, and I love it. And then of course we get to the again, I the movie never says, "Oh, this is the animal doing a threat display," but I don't know. That's how I personally can't help reading it, turning inside out and it like quadrupling its size in the air and showing off these bright colors. But it looks so strange and incredible. Fun fact: they were Jean Jacquet's design. One of the things that inspired it, and just the movie in general, was apparently the angels from Evangelion.
Oh, nice.
Which I don't remember enough about them in general, or the one that he specifically based Jean Jacket on, to be able to really commentate on that. It's been almost 10 years since I saw Evangelion, but you know.
Yeah, same here.
Cool.
Man, this movie's good.
It's a really good movie. It's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, I am very glad that I watched it. I'm very glad that I managed to somehow watch it while the kids were awake today.
That is a good feat.
Yeah, it was mostly I was watching it on my phone and paying attention, but it's hard to do things and dad at the same time and watch a movie that I'm not going to let my kids watch while the kids are up and dadding at the same time is kind of one of the most accomplishments of my career.
Also, I have to point out that if the audience was, I'm sure you said you studied film stuff and you're probably aware of this, but I know not everyone is. The thing about this whole Gordy's home thing in this movie with like, oh, a chimp, a balloon popped and it started attacking people on set. Stuff like that has happened multiple times in real life. It is one of the reasons they don't use live.
They talk about Siegfried and Roy in the movie.
Yes,
that's like probably the most famous version of this.
Yes, but with chimpanzees specifically, like there was a big thing in the 90s and 80s of like bringing monkeys and specifically chimpanzees into things. One of the reasons they stopped is because they tried to hush it up, but shit like this happened. Because chimpanzees are really neat animals, but they're also extremely strong and very terrifying, and they're wild animals. You can try to tame them, but they'll still occasionally have something like that happen. The second part of that was just, I don't know why, but I love the detail. It feels very like the verisimilitude of like, oh, there was an SNL sketch of this incident, and that's how he talks about it. Like, that just feel like it's I don't know. There's something about the pop cultureness of like, oh yeah, they did a parody sketch of this on SNL. That's like, oh, you've just instantly sold this as like a thing. Like, yeah, sure, I believe that.
Absolutely.
It's also horribly gauche at SNL to do that.
Yeah. I also love that the chimp wasn't real, and they made it very unreal to be like, yeah, this movie is about respecting animals, so we're not going to put a fucking chimp in our movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like
which I appreciated.
I when I was going to IMDb earlier to like have a thing up to follow along while we were recording, one of the trailers shows them doing it. So much of this movie is green screen and CG and not real, and I did not notice anything except for Gordy being fake. And so it definitely was on purpose that they were like, this is not a real monkey. We're not doing that.
Definitely. Also, I just read a thing that makes me so sad. You know the bit where, as part of the flashback, like the chimp notices Jupe and is like, "Oh, like comes up to him and it seems to like is no longer in that stressed out fight or flight instinct. There's a point where he's waving his hands, and I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. It's like, no, that was ASL.
Mm-hmm.
And it was ASL to what happened to family.
Uh-huh.
Which I'm like, oh great. You want to make it even worse for me. Thanks, movie. Thanks for making me feel even worse about this chip. It's like, it's really sad because like they killed the headshot this chimp, and it's like, this chimp didn't ask for this to happen. You fucking people put it on a set like this, and it was an unsafe situation. Like, that's not on the animal. My partner who's in the chat just said that's not how primates understand ASL. I'm aware, honey. I know it's a movie. It's fiction.
Yeah, we were just speaking about how this was a very fake chimp.
It's a very fake chimp.
But fun fact: as of July 23rd, 2020, there are no more chimpanzees in Hollywood. They've all been let go.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything else? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the only chimpanzees left in Hollywood is Andy Serkis. Deserves an Oscar for those movies.
I mean, Andy Serkis just deserves an Oscar in general. Like one of the 8 billion reasons why Andor is one of the greatest TV shows ever made is it helped remind a lot of people that, oh, Andy Serkis is just a great actor, period. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you CG him or not. He's still incredible.
He's fantastic. But yeah, that'll do it for the week. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us cover the cost of running the show, making it better and better. If you set up a recurring monthly donation, you also get a couple extra benefits. If you donate $1 more a month, you'll get access to our bonus feed, where we host all of our bonus episodes. This week, we have a wonderful, exciting episode of Tales of Podcastia, in which we realize we're not 4 episodes away from the end. Next episode is the last episode on Tales of Podcastia. There's so much side content at the end that we're all skipping, and so we get to be done with this game that is like Axe of the Blood God. Shout outs to that podcast. It's fantastic. You should listen to it. But they had a Tales ranking, and Tales of Fantasia was the 3rd worst one, and the 2 before it are the borderline unplayable DS games. So it is definitely the worst of the playable Tales games, and we're almost done. So that's exciting, and you can hear the happiness in our voice on the bonus feed this week. If you donate $5 or more a month, you get to do that and also get your name shouted out every episode, just like this. Shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Clear Time, Frost Terror, Dragon Slayer 19, Floris, Kaldron, Freddy Rodriguez, AA Ron 524, and JFro Prime. And then finally, if you love us so much and you donate $20 or more a month, you also get to make me say a sentence of your choosing, either to plug something or just to make me say whatever you want. So shout outs to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out critical-distance.com, an aggregator for games criticism and journalism. Shout out to William Taylor, who wants you to check out rpgamer.com, reviews for people like us by people like us. Shout outs to Vimk, who wants you to play Legend of Legaia, which does not include any live animals. So it is A-okay to play. And then shout outs to Carr, who's a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth. And he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks. Oh yeah, next week we get to play Wild Arms 5, and I'm freaking excited. So if you missed last episode,
enjoy doing notes.
Yeah.
Enjoy doing the notes.
I will enjoy doing notes for 2 games at once, but we get to start that next week, and I'm stoked. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Are you getting blown up on Discord right now, or am I just not seeing where these notifications are coming from?
Oh, they're coming from the recording stage chat room.
We have a recording stage chat room?
Oh yeah, at some point Discord added a chat room onto every voice calls channel.
What the hell? I didn't even know this was here. And it wasn't giving me any notifications for it. It was making a note, a bleep in my ears, but there was no visual indication that this A existed.
Oh yeah,
It
no.
was being spoken.
Yeah, no. It's really hidden.
That is dumb, but cool. I guess I can retire the Q&A live episode chat if we're just going to have one built in. But whatever. Okay.
To be fair, a lot of people like you don't know it exists.
It's very true.